Okay, so this is my project book recommender. A bit about the data set. This is a data set of books that includes book metadata such as author's publication date, along with user ratings, genre tags, and more. Around this time last year, I used a portion of this data set to create a book recommendation system. So what is a recommendation system? Well, their primary purpose is to suggest relevant items to a user based on their preferences. Think about Instagram and TikTok serving content, Spotify finding similar music, and Netflix guiding our subsequent watches based on our interests. This is just a quick example of the app that I made. You type in a book title here, and you should get 10 recommendations back. This was built using Vue.js for the front end and Flask as the back end to host the algorithm. So collaborative filtering was the method that I used in that example above, which is a method that allows us to recommend books to users with similar profiles determined by their rating behavior. What I want to add is content-based filtering, and this method considers the genre before making relevant suggestions, and fortunately this dataset also contains user tag genres for each book. So I was able to find some valuable insights that can help me in building the recommendation system guide my decisions. To keep things concise, I have broken them up into three main sections: user ratings, user engagement, and book attributes. So on over to Tableau. We have at the top here user ratings, user engagement, book attributes part 1, and book attributes part 2. So first we have the rating distribution, which shows that majority of ratings exist in the 4-star range, that followed by 5 and then 3. And this is useful because it can give us insight into user preferences, tastes, and rating behavior. Then we have the average rating versus ratings correlation. So this essentially shows us that most books with an average of 4-star rating have fewer overall reviews. This suggests that maybe a minimum threshold should be put on the number of ratings a book has before it can be recommended. Next, we have the average rating versus a number of editions. So books with more editions tend to have a lower average rating. This is insightful because we can make assumptions about why this is the case. I have some ideas, but I won't get into that right now. Then we have user engagement, the reviews versus ratings correlation. Here we see that as ratings increase on a book, so do the number of text reviews that they have. So this makes sense that they are linearly correlated, linearly and positively correlated. But what spoke to me, or what I thought was particularly interesting, was books like The Fault in Our Stars, where they have a greater proportion of text reviews compared to the number of ratings they have. And this raises a question about what should be weighed more when recommending a book. Should we just consider the pure ratings or the reviews, which indicate more online discourse or discussion? Next, we have the frequency of raters, and all this shows is that high frequency raters tend to rate books more critically, probably because their preferences are more refined and they are trustworthy raters. This last chart on user engagement shows each rectangle as a user, and it shows that nearly 2/3 of them, or 3/4 even, are low engagement users, where the minority here are high engagement users. This actually is relevant because it raises a common problem with building recommendation systems called the cold start problem. And essentially what this means is it's hard to provide good recommendations to users who are low engagement, who haven't shown preferences and haven't rated books, enough books. Onto book attributes part 1, we can see that the majority of books in this data set are published in the 21st century, and the rest being published in the 20th century, or earlier. negative 560, whatever that year is. Um, so this is useful because if you are a fan of books, or you've shown a preference towards books published in the 21st century, we have a lot more to pull from. Next, we have author with most ratings, or these are high engagement authors who have written a lot of books and have received plenty of reviews from users. Then we have authors with most books. So we see that prolific writers such as Stephen King and Nora Roberts or Dean Koontz have a large pool of books to pull from. So if you are a fan of one of their books, we are able to provide suggestions by the same author, and chances are you'll probably like his other books. Next, we have popular genres, showing the top 10 genres. You can change this to 5. And this is insightful because it shows us what the most popular genres are for the entire population. What would make this more useful is seeing a user breakdown for like individual users' favorite genres. Next, we have the frequency of to read. So some books just appear in users' profiles under the category of to read more than others, like The Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which I found this graph or this chart particularly curious because what about these books do people want to read so badly but just never do? And then next we can look at the language book count. So after English, the most popular language is Arabic. We have 64 books written in Arabic, and then French, and then etc. So if you've read a translation or read a book in Arabic, we have other books in that language that we can possibly recommend you. And then we have popular translations, which show that Fahrenheit 451 Spanish translation is very popular. So then that we can see that Jurassic Park is also popular in the Spanish language or Spanish translation. So we could perhaps recommend you this book if you've liked this, because other users who have liked both have liked both, for example. So that concludes my presentation. These insights can guide decisions on setting thresholds for recommending books based on ratings and engagement level, and understanding user preferences and tailoring recommendations to different demographics and language preferences. By analyzing these aspects, we can address challenges such as the cold start problem and provide users with more personalized and relevant recommendations. So, thank you.